helicopter down there. It's pretty much official IAA exam hall for the flight school. You'll notice all the cameras and stuff that are up and around this place here. It's all so that we can run and conduct our ATPL theoretical knowledge exams here. It's also one of the main lecture rooms as well. So we've a bunch of classrooms about this size, and the ones that are slightly smaller. And again, wander around today and have a hope and have a look at those classrooms as you're here. Quick snapshot of the ramp. So that's some of the fleet lined up there. Maintenance hangars. These are all very important things actually when you look at flight schools and flight training. What we kind of look at is maintenance hangars. We have a large fleet of aircraft. It's very important, of course, that we're able to maintain those aircraft. So we have hangars and on-site engineering here. So if we do ever have a snag or a concern or worry about an aircraft, we wheel it into a hangar, engineers attack it, fix it, and it goes back into service almost immediately. Afta, this is a very important one actually. We have a lot of fuel to store on the airport here, and it's really important. I suppose when I go back to my time back in the UK, and I think about the flight training I did over there, and with the flying that I did over in England, often you ring up looking for fuel, and there could be 50 or 60 other aircraft ahead of you. You know, you're waiting 10, 15 minutes per machine to get fuel. So having our own fuel and being independent in that respect has proved to be a huge streamlining component of our business. Operations rooms on the, again you'll see all this flight plan briefing rooms. This flight school is actually live today, so when you go down there today you'll see instructors and students, and they're flying there live today because the weather's quite good. We're motoring pretty hard. You'll see the simulators down there as well. There's 2 simulators, and there's a brand new DA42 simulator which I'll show you a picture of in a little more. Again, we're running kind of shuttle buses down to Little Island, so I'd encourage you to go down and see this piece of equipment as well. It's a 737 simulator. There's a large classroom with some smaller briefing rooms on there, but this was an actual aircraft once upon a time, and it was built to be a 737-800, which we've taken on since 2014. And this is a significant piece of equipment in our flight school. It is I suppose, the bridge between going from multi-engine piston aircraft into large turbine aircraft. It's the bridge between single crew, and going into multi-crew flight training. Okay, so again, it's a very, very important component of how we operate here. And this helps guys get jobs. Actually, this is a really important thing here. So coming on to the fleet resources. We use the Cessna 172 as our single engine trainer. Our kind of fleet is all these Garmin 1000 pieces of equipment, state-of-the-art technology in these. These will surpass most airlines, believe it or believe it not, in terms of avionics, automation, and capability. So the design of the aircraft actually dates back to the late 50s, and this aircraft actually holds the world record for the longest non-stop flight, believe it or not. If you go to Las Vegas, went to McCarran International Airport, you see this Cessna 172 hanging from the roof. It's been heavily modified, and basically I think the guys flew around 64 days and something hours, can't remember exactly what it was. How did they say airborne for 64 days? A Cessna 172 is a great aircraft for flying quite slow. So what they did is they would drop a hose down to a truck underneath along a runway, and they would siphon fuel off. It's well worth having a kind of a Google and having a read about it. But anyway, a little bit of trivia for you today. We find these a great training aircraft. You can bring guys and girls to the edge of the flight training envelope, allow the aircraft, to see where the aircraft can go, and always have the capacity to go in and scoop something up if something's starting to go wrong. So as a training aircraft, it's a wonderful platform for students to learn from. It's also easier for instructors to work with as well. Hugely reliable machine. As you move onwards, you move upwards, and things move a little bit faster, and you move into the multi-engine part of our fleet. We use the Piper Seneca PA-34, it's called, twin-engine aircraft. These are a wonderful, complex trainer. Okay, they were probably built for wealthy American businessmen to go from point to point in the States, and as a flight training aircraft, they tick all our boxes, with the exception of fuel. They love fuel. They love drinking fuel, but they're a fast and powerful aircraft. And when you get into this phase of flying, you actually are spending quite a bit of time with the engine shut down. You're constantly working with emergency scenarios. So into the commercial end and the multi-engine integrating component of flight training, you'll find that this aircraft is part of your fleet, your logbook. We're transiting towards even newer technology again with the purchase of 3 DA42 aircraft. These are probably the latest and greatest in terms of automation. similar cockpit to the Cessna 172, this Garmin 1000, all singing, all dancing, navigating, automation. It's a wonderful, wonderful aircraft. These are stamped as being carbon neutral aircraft. I don't know how carbon neutral it is, but they got little stamps on them from the factory saying that they're carbon neutral. But they're a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful training aircraft again. Quite economical as well. They're much, much more fuel efficient than the PA-34, and they encompass all of what we need in terms of a mini airliner. As a result of a couple, in fact we had one last week, we had a Russian aircraft that was double engine failure and landed into a cornfield. Was it just south of Moscow, I think, just off the top of my head? We had the guy who landed in the Hudson River. We've had also a very tragic one where we had an Air France crash into the ocean coming across up from Brazil. And what the airlines kind of came up with about 10, 12 years ago is the importance of pilots to actually hand flying skills. When we fly aircraft from point to point, commercial aircraft from point to point, it's quite common that the autopilot will do probably 99% of a lot of the flights. In fact, I was talking to a Turkish Airlines pilot not so long ago, and he flew Istanbul to San Francisco, 14-hour, 50-something minute flight. It was an Airbus A340, and he reckoned about 36 seconds of flying he did over the whole flight. So the dependence on automation is huge in airliners, but it also means that as a skill, flying is quite perishable, and without kind of practicing your skills on a frequent basis, you get a little bit rusty. There was some arguments put forward around the Air France crash. This was a scenario that the guys weren't overly sure what the aircraft was doing. One guy was pulling back on a stick, the other guy was pushing forward on a stick. Nobody's really communicating about what the airplane was doing. So the airline said, look, what we need to do is come up with an upset prevention and recovery course. So we immediately jumped on this, and we got this aircraft installed in our fleet, and it's a wonderful aircraft to learn how to fly, and it shows you how to maintain good hand skills, feel the effect of G-force in an aircraft, which is very important, and also the startle effect. You can never reproduce or recreate startle inside in simulators. It has to really be done in an airplane. So Jerry Humphreys, who's giving a talk a little later on today, is our EPRT manager, and he's an ex-Harrier junk jet guy, so he'll have all the questions on what aircraft do close to the